Picture this. You're standing in front of a mirror. You know your own face. You know your own name. But the words? They won't come. You reach for them like grasping smoke. This is the reality that haunts millions. And now it has claimed one. Of Hollywood's greatest action heroes, Bruce Willis, the man who made us believe that one person could save the world. The smirk that launched 1,000 catchphrases. The hero who never backed down from any fight. But there's one battle he can't win with wit, weapons, or willpower. In March 2022, the world stopped. Not because of another Die Hard sequel. Not. Because of another blockbuster announcement. But because of 7 words that shattered hearts across the globe. Bruce Willis has been diagnosed with aphasia. Most people had never heard that word before. Aphasia, it sounds almost beautiful, doesn't it? Like a flower or a distant star. But behind that gentle syllable lies a devastating neurological condition that steals the very essence of who we are. Our words, our thoughts. Our ability to connect with the world around us. Bruce Walter Willis was born on March 19, 1955, in West Germany. His father was an American soldier, his mother, a German bank teller. From the very beginning, Bruce was caught between 2 worlds, 2 languages, 2 cultures. Little did anyone know that language itself would become his greatest enemy decades later. As a child, Bruce struggled with a severe stutter. Words trapped in his throat like caged birds desperate to fly. Kids made fun of him. Teachers grew impatient. But young Bruce discovered something magical. When he acted, when he became someone else, the stutter disappeared. The words flowed like water. Acting saved me, he would later say. It gave him a voice when his own had failed him. He moved to New York in the late 70s. A bartender by day, aspiring actor by night. Rejection after rejection. Audition after audition. The city that never sleeps tested his resolve every single day. But Bruce had something that couldn't be taught. Charisma. That indefinable spark. That makes you unable to look away. Then came moonlighting in 1985, playing David Addison opposite Sybil Shepherd's Matty Hayes. The chemistry was electric. The banter was legendary. America fell in love with his cocky grin and wisecracking delivery. Bruce Willis wasn't just an actor anymore. He was a star. But television wasn't enough. Bruce had bigger dreams. Hollywood dreams. In 1988, he landed the role that would define his career. John McClane in Die Hard. A regular cop trapped in a skyscraper. With terrorists, the studio wanted a traditional action hero. Instead, they got Bruce Willis. Barefoot, bleeding, and absolutely relentless. Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker. 5 words that became immortal. Die Hard wasn't just a movie. It was a cultural phenomenon. It spawned sequels, imitators, and turned Bruce into the everyman action hero. He wasn't a superhero. He wasn't invincible. He was just a guy who refused to give up. Just like the boy who conquered his stutter through sheer determination. The 90s belonged to Bruce Willis. Pulp Fiction, The Fifth Element, Armageddon, The Sixth Sense, each role showcased a different facet of his talent. He could make you laugh. He could make you cry. He could make you believe that asteroids were real threats and dead people really could see things we couldn't. But success came with a price. Long hours, intense pressure. The constant demand to be on all the time. Hollywood has a way of consuming its own. And Bruce Willis, the man who seemed indestructible on screen, was quietly battling demons no one could see. His marriage to Demi Moore was tabloid gold. 2 of the biggest stars in the world. Beautiful children. A fairy tale romance that America couldn't get enough of. But fairy tales, as Bruce knew from his movies, don't always have happy endings. The divorce in 2000 was amicable. They remained friends, co-parents, a rare example of Hollywood maturity. Bruce found love again with Emma Hemming in 2009. More children, a second chance at happiness. Life seemed perfect. But beneath the surface, something was changing. Around 2015, people in the industry started noticing subtle differences. Bruce seemed different on set. He would forget lines more often. Simple directions became confusing. His legendary quick wit wasn't quite as quick anymore. At first, everyone assumed it was age, stress, the natural progression of a long career. Bruce was in his 60s. Maybe he was just tired. Maybe he needed a break. But the signs kept getting stronger. Directors started accommodating. Scripts were rewritten. Shooting schedules were adjusted. Bruce's lines were reduced. His screen time minimized. The man who once carried entire movies was now struggling with single scenes. His family noticed it too. Conversations became difficult. Bruce would search for words that used to come effortlessly. The man who made a living with language was slowly losing his ability to communicate. Emma Hemming Willis later revealed the heartbreaking reality of those years. Bruce was struggling with language. We didn't know what it was. We thought maybe it was hearing loss, or maybe he was just getting older. But it wasn't age. It wasn't hearing loss. It wasn't fatigue or stress or any of the normal explanations. It was aphasia. It's a condition that affects over 2 million Americans. It's a condition that most people have never heard of until it touches there. Lives directly. Aphasia occurs when the language centers of the brain are damaged, usually by stroke, sometimes by head trauma, occasionally by degenerative diseases. The Broca's area and Wernicke's area, it's regions that control speech and comprehension, begin to fail. Imagine trying to speak, but the words get scrambled between your brain and your mouth. You know what you want to say? The thoughts are there, clear and complete. But when you try to express them, everything gets tangled, frustrated, lost. There are different types of aphasia. Broca's aphasia affects speech production. Patients understand everything but struggle to form words. Aphasia impacts comprehension. Patients can speak fluently, but the words don't make sense. Global aphasia affects both understanding and expression. For someone like Bruce Willis, whose entire career was built on communication, on connecting with audiences through words and expressions, aphasia wasn't just a medical condition. It was the theft of his very identity. The family made the difficult decision to go public in March 2022. Rumor Willis, his eldest daughter, posted a heartfelt message on Instagram. The announcement was simple, direct, devastating. Our beloved Bruce has been experiencing some health issues and has recently been diagnosed with aphasia, which is impacting his cognitive abilities. As a result of this, and with much consideration, Bruce is stepping away from the career that has meant so much to him. The response was immediate and overwhelming. Fans, colleagues, and fellow actors shared their love and support. The entertainment industry, known for its competitiveness and ego, united in recognition of what Bruce had given to cinema. But the story didn't end there. In February 2023, the family shared another update. The diagnosis had evolved. Temporal dementia, FTD, a more specific and devastating form of brain degeneration that often includes aphasia as one of its symptoms. Frontotemporal dementia is cruel in its precision. It targets the frontal and temporal lobes of the brain, the areas responsible for personality, behavior, and language. Unlike Alzheimer's, which primarily affects memory in its early stages, FTD attacks the very core of who a person is. The life expectancy for FTD varies dramatically. Some patients live for years after diagnosis. Others decline rapidly within months. The average survival is 7 to 13 years from the onset of symptoms. But those are just numbers. Statistics that can't capture the human reality of watching. Someone you love disappear piece by piece. The symptoms are devastating in their scope. Language difficulties? Yes. But also changes in personality. Loss of empathy. It's inappropriate social behavior. The person you've known and loved for decades becomes a stranger wearing a familiar face. For Bruce's family, this meant watching their father, husband, and grandfather slowly slip away. The man who taught them to be strong, to fight for what they believe in, to never give up, was now fighting a battle that couldn't be won with determination alone. Emma Hemming Willis has become a fierce Imlosini, and Willis has become a fierce Imlosini, advocate for awareness and research. She shared the painful reality of living with someone who has FTD, the good days when Bruce seems almost like himself, the difficult days when communication becomes impossible, the heartbreaking moments when he doesn't recognize the people who love him most. This disease is misdiagnosed, it's missed, it's misunderstood, she said in a recent interview. FTD whispers, it doesn't shout. The symptoms can be subtle. By the time you get a diagnosis, you've lost so much time. The Willis family's openness about Bruce's condition has brought unprecedented attention to aphasia and FTD. Research funding has increased. Support groups have formed. Families dealing with similar diagnoses have found comfort in knowing they're not alone. But awareness doesn't change the fundamental reality. Bruce Willis, the man who saved the world countless times on screen, can't save himself from this enemy. There's no clever quip that will defeat it, no last-minute rescue. No happy ending where the hero walks into the sunset. Instead, there are quiet moments. Family gatherings where Bruce might not speak much, but his presence still brings comfort. Photo sessions where his smile still holds echoes of the charisma that made him famous. Small victories in a war that can't be won. His daughters have become his champions. Rumor, Scout, and Tallulah from his marriage to Demi. Mabel and Evelyn. From his marriage to Emma, they share memories. They celebrate his legacy. They make sure the world remembers Bruce Willis, not for his disease, but for his contributions to cinema and to their lives. Demi Moore, his ex-wife, has remained actively involved in his care. Their relationship, once the subject of intense media scrutiny, has become a model of grace under impossible circumstances. Love doesn't end with divorce. Family doesn't disappear because of paperwork. The entertainment industry has rallied around the Willis family. Former co-stars share stories of Bruce's generosity and professionalism. Directors speak of his dedication and talent. The man who brought John McClane to life has left an indelible mark on everyone he worked with. But perhaps the most important legacy isn't in his filmography. It's in the conversations his diagnosis has started. Families are talking about aphasia. Medical professionals are receiving better training to recognize FTD symptoms. Research dollars are flowing toward finding treatments and, hopefully, cures. Bruce Willis taught us that heroes come in all shapes and sizes. That ordinary people can do extraordinary things. That sometimes the best response to impossible odds is a wisecrack and unwavering determination. Now, in his most private battle, he's teaching us something different. That dignity doesn't require words. That love transcends language. That heroism sometimes looks like quietly accepting help instead of always providing it. The boy who conquered his stutter through acting became a man who conquered Hollywood through talent and charisma. Now he's facing his greatest challenge, without the benefit of a script or the promise of a happy ending. But he's not facing it alone. His family surrounds him with love. His fans remember him with gratitude. His legacy lives on in countless movies and memories. Frontotemporal Dementia will take Bruce Willis from us. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but inevitably. That's the harsh reality of this disease. There's no cure. No miracle treatment. No last-minute cavalry charge. What remains is the impact he's had on the world, the laughs he's given us, the thrills he's provided, the humanity he's brought to larger-than-life characters. Bruce Willis may be losing his words, but his voice will echo in cinema forever. The man who made us believe that one person could make a difference is still making a difference, just in a different way, through his family's advocacy, through increased awareness of aphasia and FTD, through the reminder that behind every diagnosis is a human being deserving of dignity, respect, and love. John McClane would be proud. The hero Bruce created would recognize the courage it takes to face this enemy, not with guns or explosions, but with grace, family, and the kind of quiet strength that doesn't make headlines but changes lives. So the next time you watch Die Hard or Pulp Fiction or The Sixth Sense, remember Bruce Willis not as a victim of disease, but as a man who gave everything to his craft and his family. A man who taught us to fight for what matters. A man whose greatest performance might be the one we never see, the daily battle he fights with dignity and love. That's the Bruce Willis legacy. Not the condition that's taken his words, but the indelible mark he's left on our hearts and our culture. A reminder that true heroism isn't about never falling down. It's about who stands with you when you can no longer stand alone. If you've been moved by Bruce's story, consider learning more about aphasia and frontotemporal dementia. Support research. Reach out to families dealing with similar diagnoses. Sometimes the most heroic thing we can do is simply care about someone else's fight. Because in the end, we're all just trying to find our words, our way, our meaning in this complicated, beautiful, heartbreaking world. Bruce Willis helped us do that for decades. Now, it's our turn to help him.